Laura. We appreciate that this is a webinar that many of you will be watching on a recording. So we're grateful for everybody that signed up, even those people that aren't able to join to listen to it live this morning. But for everyone that's here, good morning and welcome to our St Andrew's Day webinar. My name's Susan Love and I'm going to be facilitating this morning's discussion. I'm also joined on the call by my colleague Laura, who's going to be managing the housekeeping today and keeping us all right. I'm going to throw over to Laura just now to give us that housekeeping rules.
Thank you, Susan. So just on screen, you'll see some of our housekeeping rules. So if you're happy to, please do turn on your camera because it's always nice to see everyone on screen. Please keep yourself on mute unless you are speaking, just to avoid any unnecessary background noise. If you've got a question or any thoughts, do drop it in the chat at any point throughout the session. And if you'd like to stay in touch, do feel free to share your LinkedIn details into the chat, as we'd love to connect after the session.
That's great. Thanks, Laura. Sorry, I appreciate there's various people still joining just as we're kicking off. At this point, I am delighted to hand over to one of our guest speakers this morning. It's Raymond Jack, who is Executive Director, Finance and Operations for ACCA. And we're delighted that Raymond is going to welcome everybody to the webinar this morning. Raymond.
Thank you very much, Susan, and a very warm welcome to this St Andrew's Day event, which has become a regular event in our calendar now. And I think it's fitting that we do meet in St Andrew's Day, because especially as St Andrew was a very international saint in many respects, in the sense that I think he died somewhere in Greece, but his relics are all over the world. Scotland can't claim exclusivity to St Andrew, but I think we do endear and treasure our links to such a fantastic saint. And if some of you are like me, you've maybe already had your first St Andrew's night celebration. Certainly haggis and steak pie all in the one go is quite a lot, but I guess we're all Scottish in many respects and we can cope with that. This morning, I think, is also a great topic to talk about next generation. And I think it's especially apt because, as many of you know, we're beginning to plan our new qualification and thinking hard about not just the next generation talent, but the next generation of students, how they are going to learn and how they're going to be assessed. And as always, we've got various bits of research and insight that we're doing. We've recently published some AI and assessment and how we're going to be using artificial intelligence to do that, and already doing that. Our global talent trends, which I think I know Laura and Susan and the team have probably encouraged you to participate in, and that work is being rolled out around the world as a significant influence in terms of how we develop the qualification. And finally, more recently, again, artificial intelligence, again, we've got a monitor series, and again, we're looking at the exploration of the trends, and I think, particularly the new generation going into the workplace, you're already using AI, and that's going to continue to develop, and that's one of the things that we really want to do at ACCA, is to make our generation of students the most work ready and the most desirable students and newly qualified people in the market as much as we possibly can. So I think it's a really great topic for this morning to look at the new generation in light of all the work that ACCA are doing globally at the moment. And I'll pass back to you, Susan, to kick us off.
Thank you so much, Raymond. So as you were saying, this is our become a bit of a tradition for us to have a St Andrew's Day webinar for ACCA in Scotland, really to try and celebrate an aspect of the contribution that finance professionals make to Scotland. And this year we're focusing on up-and-coming talent. So we're delighted to be joined by 4 speakers today. So we have Stephen, Ada, Sophie and Neil, who all work in different sectors. and they're going to share their career journeys with us. So if you're listening and you're at an early stage in your accountancy career, or maybe if you've got a role in supervising trainees or managing them, I hope you're going to find a lot to take away from the insight that our 4 speakers are going to share today. So first of all, I'm going to come to our speakers and ask you to, first of all, say who you are, say where you're from. Ada, to you first. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you, Susan. My name is Ada Fikifai. I'm a newly qualified ACCA member, and I work currently with tax. And I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. I have over 10 years experience in accounting, but having an ACCA qualification just changes everything for me, and that's the most exciting part of the game for me. So I'm excited to be here with you guys, and I'm excited to share my journey and my experience with you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ada. Stephen.
Hi, I'm Stephen. I currently work at Arthur J. Gallagher Insurance Brokers. I've been ACC qualified for just over a year now and been working as an accountant in various roles for about 7 to 8 years. So yeah, happy to share my experiences and yeah, give any advice if possible.
Thank you. Neil.
My name's Neil. I'm based in Aberdeen. Currently working for Johnston Carmichael in the restructuring and insolvency department. Joined just over 4 years ago now, and thoroughly enjoying it. And hopefully, again, I can share some experiences that might help everyone today.
And Sophie.
I'm Sophie. I'm from Glasgow, and I'm one of the trainee accountants within the Scottish Government. I'm currently working within the financial accounts team, which by next year I will be helping prepare the annual accounts, which will be published. I'm happy to share my experiences in terms of trainee level. My last exam is next Thursday, so it's crunch time. But yeah, I'm happy to share experiences maybe the 3 other speakers might not be able to touch on, given I'm still sitting exams.
Oh, absolutely, Sophie, and we're incredibly grateful for your time. We did ask Sophie before we knew that she only had 1 exam left next week. So we're incredibly grateful for everyone's time for coming along today. First of all, let's go in reverse order this time. Sophie, did you always know you wanted to be an accountant? How did you come to that career choice?
Not really. Originally, I wanted to do art, specifically architecture, but in my final year of high school, I took a crash higher in accountancy. And because of probably my art background, we had to write all our SPLs and SFPs, so I was really liking like the structure of them, and I really liked how there was kind of like if you did a SFP it balanced at the end. I thought, well, that's really nice. I've not seen a balanced SFP in the past 3 years, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I enjoyed the structure, and I thought, oh, this is interesting, like to me. So yeah, it wasn't always my first choice, but it is now.
And how did you come to ACCA? Was it just because of what your employer offered, or?
I did my degree in accountancy at the University of Dundee, and Dundee University at the time was one of, I'm not sure if it is still now, but was one of the a third party of ACCA. So when I joined SG, I got loads of exemptions, which is really useful. And so yeah, that's why it was my chosen professional body.
And Neil, did you know you wanted to be an accountant?
No, I didn't either. I studied international business management at university, sort of unsure what I wanted to do, so thought I'll do a degree that hopefully keeps my options open, and graduated in COVID, so that was fun. So sort of wasn't an abundance of jobs at that time. Johnston Carmichael had sort of advertised for an accountant role, and sort of thought, well, from the accountancy modules I did at university, I did enjoy them. And obviously some further studying wouldn't go amiss. So that's how I sort of stumbled into it, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And had you heard of ACCA or the professional bodies before you came into this?
At a sort of basic level, but we sort of do ACCA in our department, just for the flexibility that offers all the students in the team. So when it did come to sort of studying and choosing which body to go with, it was always ACCA for us.
Thank you. And Stephen, how did you end up in accountancy?
So I've been studying it pretty much since I left high school. So I went and done a HNC, HND, then straight into third year at uni, and ended up staying at uni for a master's as well. I loved it that much. Master's in accounting and international finance. So I probably started from high school. We'd done it as a standard grade, and I just liked the rules-based approach. And yeah, I always knew I wanted to work in an office and a sort of business world, and accountancy was the one that sort of came to me. Also done a internship when I was late in high school for Morgan Stanley in various sort of finance departments. I got to see like accounting departments, general business admin, and again, accountancy was the one that sort of was most attracted to, and hence why I went on the journey.
Okay, so a purist, accountancy purist. Stephen and Nicole. And Ada, did you always know you wanted to be an accountant?
No, actually, I didn't even like the idea. I wanted to be an architect, but my dad kept telling me that you have to be an accountant. It's a good profession. And I was like, no, I think it's boring, but here I am today. I'm now an accountant. Maybe if I'd listened earlier, it would have saved me maybe years of trying to be an architect. And I'm so glad that I made the choice and I switched over to accounting because I was trying to get into back in my home country, and I wasn't getting in. So I tried for the first time with accounting, and I got in to my preferred university, and I was happy. And then I started the journey there, and I realized that I was very good with maths, and my numerical skills were top notch. So I just took it a notch further, and that's it.
And Ada, did you choose ACCA for any particular reason to study, or was it an employer offered?
I chose ACCA because of its global recognition. I also had the professional qualification from my local jurisdiction, but when I felt that I needed to maybe go a top notch higher, I felt ACCA was the platform I needed that would take me to my destination.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That's useful to hear about your backgrounds. Interesting, we had two would-be architects who've become accountants. I'm sure I've heard that from other members as well. Neil, coming into this, is there any preconceptions about accountancy that you had before you came into this that have turned out to be completely wrong? Oh, you're on mute, Neil.
Sorry, there we go. I was saying, I think the first one Ada touched on there was that accountancy is this boring profession. It's definitely not the case, and for what I do especially. But the second thing was how many roles sort of fit under that blanket approach of accountancy. I think at university I got a taste of that when I sort of did a couple of accountancy modules, and you kind of think, well, one was completely different to the other, and that sort of leads on to the workplace and the kind of different roles that you can get. And before doing this job, I hadn't even heard of it. So again, just the sheer volume and scope of roles that fit under that sort of blanket term is what I would say.
And Ada, you said you didn't want to come into it because you thought it would be boring. Has it turned out not to be boring?
Oh, absolutely. It's so interesting because it keeps unveiling itself, and so many roles you can just take as an accountant. You can be a tax accountant, you can be an analyst, you can be anything, So it's exciting that it just changes, and with the way the world is evolving, there's so many requirements from an accountant, more than just spreadsheets, data sets, and debits and credits. And more, we have to do more of analysis at this point. So not boring anymore. It's not boring, actually. It's quite very interesting.
So Stephen, you always wanted to be an accountant. Has it turned out to be the way you thought it would be, or anything you thought it would be that it isn't?
It has and it hasn't. Again, everyone sort of touches on it when you tell them you want to be an accountant, especially from a young age. You're like, that's quite a boring choice. And you assume it's all number crunching and sitting in spreadsheets, which it is to an extent, but there's very much, I've found another side of it, which is like presenting, people management, interacting with different functionalities across the business. So I think that aspect's very interesting, and it's something I didn't expect going into it. I just thought I would be sitting there crunching numbers, but very much well, as a management accountant anyway, you interact with the wider business, and yeah, I think that's been interesting, and it's kept it interesting. Yeah.
And Sophie, you're in a sort of maybe a slightly different type of accountancy role in the public sector. What did you have any preconceptions about that before you went into it that have turned out to be met or not met?
I'd probably say the fact that I think a lot of people think in the government it's not just one person. The entirety of the financial management reporting team is vast and wide. We have people from all over. We have people from qualifications from ACCA and wider, and I think people think, oh, it's just this one person or this one group. It's masses of us, and there's so much work that goes on bar just like traditional accounting, like bookkeeping. And I think like as the trainee we've done rotations and I've been in two different teams and done two different completely sets of work to what I'm doing now. But yeah, there's I think a lot of people think, oh, you just sit and do SFPs and SPLs and journals all the time. I'm like, I haven't touched an SFP and an SPL in my job. I've done journals, but like I've looked at budgets, I've looked at procurement, like reviews for grants, I've looked at very different things that I wouldn't have thought I'd looked at when I was 18 in school.
Thank you. And loads of useful feedback there about what you thought accountancy would be like, what you've actually found it to be, and obviously a lot of you talking about the wide variation in types of role and tasks that you can do. And I think that's all really useful for people who are thinking about, who are studying accountancy or thinking about moving into accountancy. And we know that we'll be sharing this recording with people who can reach out to students and share this with them. So I know they'll be interested in that, and they'll be interested in this next part in particular, which is asking you about your studying for your during your ACCA training. So how did you balance working and studying, and what would you say really helped you the most to get through those exams? Ada, I'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Firstly, I would say plan, okay, and prioritizing your time. What really helped me, I understood when I started ACCA, actually, I thought it was like my local jurisdiction exam I had written and passed. So I came with that mindset to pass ACCA, and then I failed. And I realized that I had to replan and understand how to write ACCA differently. So instead of just going and getting prepared for the exam, reading and passing, I had a 6 months plan, and I was consistent with it because I also had to balance work life, family, children, and everything I had to do. So it wasn't easy. So I had a 6 months plan, and I got to read 2 hours every day before my exams, and then weeks before my exam, I take out time from work and then write my exams, and that was how I started passing my ACCA. And what I also learned, what helped me also, was to restrain myself from a lot of things like apps and social media that I loved. So I would take out time those period, I would delete them off my okay, because I was addicted to them. And this helped me to focus more on my studies. And just immediately after my exams are done, okay, I reinstall them back on my, because I need them. So I was able to tell myself that that was my reward for writing my exam. And that helped me to keep track and focus on my exams. So the way I started writing the exams before. I wrote one paper 3 times and I failed. But when I re-strategized, I stopped failing my exams. I understood that it may take me longer, and that plan was working for me. And that was how I was able to balance my work and my life and my study with ACCA.
Thanks, Ada. Really useful tips there about the importance of planning and focus. Stephen.
Yeah, so just like Ada said, planning is very much key, and giving yourself realistic timelines to work towards. Try to do it all in a short period of time will just leave you stressed out, especially when you've got a heavy workload as well, like at work. So it's planning around busy times at work also. For example, if you're coming into financial year end, it might not be the best idea to sit an exam at that time period, even though it might get you qualified quicker. The stress of trying to manage 2 workloads might be too much, so you need to be realistic in that sense. In terms of resources that helped me, you can do paid plans and go to classes, but there's abundance of free resources. For example, on the ACC website, we've got like great resources, for example, the technical articles, them accompanied with a good exam kit, and things like Open Tuition have like free lectures online. You can very much get through the content and learn, because I was very much self-study, so I've done classes a few times throughout for some exams, but very much it was using that process. And there's also like online support communities for if you are doing self-study. You can, like, for example, Open Tuition, there's like forum boards. There's things like social media sites like Reddit even have an ACCA page where different students get together and discuss like typical issues they're facing, asking for general support and advice. So there's a lot out there, and it's worth making use of that to help you. And I think definitely at least giving yourself a 12-week at least sort of window to study and get through the content, because that was the shock for me when I went from university to going to do ACC exams. I thought it'd be like very much I could put the same amount of effort in to get a good result, but it was very much different from that. You had to put in a lot more effort, a lot more time. But the good thing about it is it's 100% worth it in the end. So just and from my experience, you might fall down a couple of times, but I think that makes you stronger at the end of it. So when you come across failure, like myself, anyone I know who studied ACCA failed at some point, is to get yourself back in the horse and just keep going, really. It'll all work itself out. Just put in the time and effort and plan. But yeah, please make use of the resources on the ACCA website. There's just so much there, like practice exam platforms, everything. It's all useful stuff. So yeah, it's the best
Thanks,
advice I
Stephen.
can give.
That was really, really valuable feedback. Neil, how did you balance work and study, and what helped you?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a sort of discovery plan for me. I bounced off ideas with a lot of people at work. A lot of people at my work had done ACCA, so sort of saying, how did you balance it in the past? Getting on ideas on what might work and not work for me, because I sort of found that, some people would get up early in the morning and study, some people would stay late at work and study, and I think the key is finding what works best for you. Sort of similar to Ada, I found, it wasn't about the time I was putting in, it was about the quality time that I was getting. So I used to just stay an hour after work, put a timer on my phone for an hour and a half, and just turn it over and just sort of try and focus and not touch it and just wait for the sort of alarm to ring, and that would be my cue to stop. And once I started doing that, I found that I was maybe not putting in as much time, but I was getting a lot more benefit out of those sort of shorter but more productive sessions. But again, key, I think what everyone sort of mentioned is a good plan. I think when you are making your plan, you need to set realistic timelines, which Stephen said. I know I was a bit ambitious the first sort of couple of times and thinking how much I could get done. But sort of sticking to a plan, as I say, an hour and a half a day of quality study time, I think it was key for me anyway. That worked for me.
Thank you, Neil. And Sophie, because you're you're obviously going through this at the moment. So how has that work-study balance been for you?
Well, this will be my fourth exam I've sat this year. I've been quite thorough with getting my exams, though that hasn't unfortunately stopped me from failing. I can't believe you do tax either. That sounds like my worst nightmare. But when I've done classes with Kaplan, for 3 of the exams I've sat this year, and like they start the Monday straight after the exam, so there's no stopping. And that Monday I come in, I make the plan for the next like 3 months. I write it. I have a whiteboard on my study wall, and it says every week what I've got classes on. And Kaplan are very good in terms of they tell you what topic will be discussed that night. So when I was resetting advanced tax in March, I reread the chapters every night or before the classes, so that when I got to the classes, I had questions already in my head, be like, right, I need to ask this. I'm not thinking on the spot. I'm thinking, or it comes to 8:30, the class is done and the question's gone. But as all the rest of the talkers have said, like planning is very important, and there are so many like free resources even outside of ACCA. Kaplan offer them when you have the classes, ACCA and the study hub. There's one, it might be well known, accountancy, but ACOW. It's very useful. I've been using it for the past week. They make it almost fun. Like, and I'm not saying accountancy is not fun, but they make the questions more light-hearted than reading like about parents and subs, because that's all I've been doing. But planning. But I think lots of people need to remember that at the end of the day, one, it is just an exam, and two, when you finish work, you need that hour away from your computer. You've been staring at it. I imagine lots of you do 9 to 5s. In Scottish Government, we have flexibility with our working hours, so I finish a lot earlier than that. So I leave my computer and I go and sit and do something else for like till my classes start at 6 o'clock. Because my brain is like, no, I need time off. But you plan and make sure you like structure it well so it suits you.
Thank you. I know that people listening are going to find all of that feedback incredibly useful, and I'm sure some of the people listening who've been qualified for a while were having some horrible flashbacks during all of that, but really, really valuable feedback. And just thinking about your education, so maybe when you were at school or university, do you feel that prepared you? Do you think your sort of academic studies prepared you for the workplace? Is there something you wish you'd learned more about during your sort of formal education? Stephen, I'll start with you.
To an extent it did, obviously understanding like the subject that we're in, but what I did miss particularly was maybe like the human aspect, like managing different people and different personalities, presenting in front of large groups like financials to people who are not from a financial background, explaining stuff in ways everyone can understand. And I don't know, negotiation skills almost, like when it comes to budgeting time, it's almost like it's a negotiation task between different departments, and sometimes you're a mediator. So things like that, you touched on them at university and throughout your studies, but you didn't really get, there wasn't like a dedicated class to them, and having that sort of guidance and experience beforehand would have been good, but you learn through experience, so you do pick it up. But yeah.
Ada, do you feel that your studies helped prepare you for the workplace?
Yes, maybe for the technical skills, but not for maybe like soft skills, like communicating with clients and understanding stakeholders. No, for softer skills, no, but it did prepare me for the technical skills I required to succeed at my job.
Okay, thank you. Neil?
Yeah, I think I obviously studied business management at university, so I think that kind of tied in with the ACCA qualification. I think in terms of the technical stuff, it helped me maybe come into the workplace and not just see everything through an accountant's eyes. There's obviously that sort of business outlook at things as well. I think definitely the soft skills, I think they were touched on there. I know I had a few part-time jobs sort of from when I was 17, 18 and through university and things. And I think those maybe helped me just as much for the workplace as the kind of education side of things. I think developing those soft skills and just communicating with people and being in a workplace, whether it's a sort of corporate environment or just a sort of hospitality environment or whatever it is, I think just being in and around people in that environment definitely develops those skills that maybe you just can't get from the educational side of things.
And Sophie?
I would say probably what has came from my studies, and I'd say more so from that than my school time, would be my ability to communicate. I speak to so many different people across the wider SG, from people who have finance background to people who have none. And ACCA, especially your ethics module, has really helped me structure emails to give to people that don't know how to be doing accountancy or speaking to people further up in SG than me. But yeah, it's really helped widen my communication skills.
Okay, thank you. No, that's really, really useful because we work with lots of employers and lots of university partners, and it's really, really useful for them to hear your feedback and your reflections on how useful your training is for the workplace. And now the super fun question that I know that you're all waiting for. Do you have any advice for those who are managing trainees or people in their teams that are at an early stage in their career? So what did your supervisors do that was really, really helpful, or what do you really not want them to do? And hopefully none of your supervisors are on this call, but go for it, because there's people listening here and it'd be really useful for them to hear what really helps. Sophie?
I'm glad none of my colleagues are on this call. I've had many different managers over my time, and they've all been at different varied levels of being qualified, whether it's been a couple of years or several more. I think it's good for managers to understand that every trainee will be different. They will take a different approach. Some of you will do an exam every sitting, some of you will do it every 6 months, some of you will do classes taught classes, some of you will do self-study. I think it's good for managers to understand that you are aiming to get your qualification, but some people might take a longer time just because of personal commitments like family or other personal commitments that you personally believe, well, this is more important than my qualification. But I think line managers need to understand that this person won't be like me. But yeah.
Thank you. Ada? Oh, you're on mute, Ada.
I think that supervisors should encourage the trainees. This helps boost their confidence because this professional journey is kind of tough sometimes. Okay, and it's not always a very straight road. Sometimes people get to fail, and it doesn't mean the training is not good enough. It just means that they just need to put in more efforts and maybe put in more time. And so I will say for supervisors that they can find out how best they think they can support the trainees at this time to help them boost their confidence and to help them to sit for their exams and support them in whichever way they possibly can. It's very key.
Yeah, thank you. Neil?
Yeah, I think obviously the kind of support is the key one. I'd say flexibility, if that can be offered, that's a big thing. Like Sophie, I did my sort of training with Kaplan, and we had sort of mock exams and progress tests that you kind of have to submit by certain deadlines. And, my manager would sort of say that, look, I know you've got that deadline coming up, just finish up a couple hours early and you can get it done and make that time up maybe tomorrow or something. And that was so invaluable for me. Because I think some of the mock exams take us, sort of 3 hours. So if you can get an hour or so back and just make that time back later, that really helped me. I think also sort of instilling confidence in you. I had the two options papers. It ended up being that I had to sit advanced tax and advanced performance management on the same day. And I remember looking at the schedule and kind of going, don't know if this is really possible. And my manager was sort of like, no, you've got this. Like, you can do it. Just knuckle down, get your head down, and kind of, there's no reason why you can't do it. And I think just hearing that put a lot of confidence in me, that kind of motivated me to do a bit better and kind of tackle that. So I think if you can instill confidence, that's a big thing.
Stephen.
Yeah, I think everyone's really covered it already, but a good support sort of system in place will really help the student. Maybe like being realistic with them as well. Like maybe if their the students' expectations are unrealistic in terms of timelines and what they have also coming up with work and juggling it, maybe highlighting that before it's too late. Like sort of try to help them avoid that burnout and avoid unnecessary stressful situations when it can be managed. Maybe we take a wee bit more time overall to complete your qualification, but in a less stressful manner. And yeah, just really positivity, like giving them the advice and experience that you have yourself, if you've been through it, and giving it to the student. I'm really I like everyone else's feedback because I've recently been asked to be an ACC mentor, so I'm taking this on board and trying to figure out like how I would approach it. But yeah, it's really just being that support mechanism, and also as much as helping them with the studying aspects, maybe reminding them as well that it's all balanced. You do need to take a bit of time for self-care and for your mental health, and really, focus on there's a bigger picture at play. But yeah, I think everyone's really covered it with the support. So
thank you. Great feedback there from everybody, and a good book recommendation in the chat there from Elaine, which I'm going to look at. Okay, moving on to think about the roles that you're in. You're all in a different sector, you're all in a different type of role. So just wonder, do you think you're going to stay in that sector? I mean, did you just fall into it, or do you think you'll stay in there? Have you got a passion to be in something else, do you think? Stephen, let's start with you.
yeah, so I've always sort of been in industry. I've been to like various companies. So I started off at like a small medium enterprise, which is very much tech and event driven. Then I moved to like a large multinational law firm, and now I'm at a large insurance broker, which is globally recognised. So I don't really see myself staying in one place, but I definitely know I want to stay in industry in general, rather than like going into practice. It's just, to me myself, it's definitely more interesting. And if I had a choice, probably get back in sort of the tech field. It's always very interesting, the accounting around that, sort of research and development and that sort of spend, getting to see that. But yeah, I'm very open to like exploring. I think the more industries that you can cover, it just broadens your experience overall and just gives you more skills to carry forward. But yeah.
And Ada, I know that you do have a particular passion.
Thank you so much. I have been worked in different roles, financial reporting, risk, and investment. But one thing caught across is tax. Okay, and while doing those various roles, I used to have companies call me by the side then to handle their tax records. And so that really got me very much interested in tax. So while still doing my work, I still used to, work by the side and cover other clients' tax records. So right now I'm in tax, and I think I'm going to end up in tax. I'm going to retire at tax, but we're just evolving and things can change naturally. But I just have an affinity for tax.
And Sophie, that filled you with horror, but what do you think, you're going to stay in public sector, or?
I originally thought there was, when I finished university, that there was no other option to learn to be an accountant apart from private sector. But public sector, specifically Scottish Government, has been very fulfilling. Like, I've done work that's actually seen by people, and I think that's very like impressive to say to someone like, "Oh, I've done this and you've seen it." Like, and I really like the work I do. I like all the people I work with. I think everyone sees how much that what we do is important to, well, everyone on this call. So yeah, it's really meaningful work.
Yeah, so did you say at the start, so you're literally working on the national accounts at the moment?
Yeah, once I'm back from my exam next week, I have to make all the folders for them. So yeah, we'll be
Exciting.
starting to gather all the data for the annual accounts, which yeah, will be an interesting task. It will be my first time doing it, so by February, March, I will be very busy.
And do you think can you see yourself probably staying in the public sector now that you've started off there?
Yeah, I can't see myself leaving part and like and more so than just like the finance aspect of my job. There is so much flexibility in my work, and where I can work. Like the areas of finance are vast rather than just one finance team. There are several. So yeah, I probably will stay here.
And Neil, you're working in a sort of specific specialism within practice, and a lot of people will often say that practice is a really good training ground because you get to experience so many different roles. Do you think you're going to stay in that area? Do you see yourself moving?
No, I see myself staying. I think sort of Stephen touched on learning from different industries and sectors and things, and sort of for myself, depending on what kind of companies and clients we're dealing with in sort of insolvency processes, get a lot of insight into different sort of things. We had a big administration last year of a sort of agricultural firm, and we traded it for a month to 6 weeks and became an expert in diggers and cultivators and tractors and things. So it's quite interesting for me. Sort of every day is different, and as I say, depending on what company or client we're dealing with, you can learn or see a lot of things. And for me, that's sort of interesting enough to keep me here for the time being. So no plans to sort of change, and yeah, see what the future holds.
Thank you. Just thinking about the skills that you're using in your roles at the moment, is there a particular skill you think you have that's been most useful to you in your role, or perhaps something that you've had to develop that you think is most useful? Maybe it might have been something you expected, maybe not. Sophie?
I would say the most useful skill that I've gathered from my exams and studies is communication, managing to communicate between you guys here, people in an SG, people in like classes, teachers, like other students asking questions. I felt I've very much been able to be more professional in the way I speak and communicate in emails and Teams chats and any meetings I've ever had, and my like professional like words have gotten better as I've done the exams, especially the strategic professional exams where there are marks for professional like acumen, communication, presentation. So yeah.
Thank you, Sophie. Stephen?
Definitely sort of problem solving skills and I don't know, initiative taking. Sort of developed definitely at my time at work anyway, and in my current role. Come across a lot of unique problems being in acquisitions and doing sort of integrating new companies within the business. Sort of reverse engineering, working it out like as you go. So, but definitely communication being a key one also. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Ada?
Thank you. For me, I think it's my analytical skills, and that's what ACCA exam helped me to build. I was very bad at it before, and then I was also my communication skills to improved. Um, this has really helped me to, break down complex information. Sometimes as an accountant, you have the answers in your head, but how do you express it? How do you let the person know that this is what it looks like in ABC and in the way that they can understand? So ACCA helped me to build and develop this communication skill to be able to explain the reason behind maybe something, a figure or a legislation or a rule, So for me, that's my most valuable two skills, both analytic skills and the communication skills too.
Thank you. Neil?
Yeah, I think for me it's communication skills as well. Can have a lot of difficult kind of conversations in this industry, and if we're out at site and a director is facing bankruptcy or you've got angry customers coming in, I think the ability to kind of communicate well is absolutely key, and the ability to think on your feet as well. I think that's a skill that maybe I didn't think I would need kind of doing what I'm doing, but definitely if you're kind of out on site and things are happening, then that skill is key.
And so all four of you have mentioned communication specifically. Do you think that your skills from that mainly came just through experience and the value of different experience of being on the front line, or is there something more technical that helped you learn communication skills? Just dive in if anyone wants to answer that.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I think my experience in sort of my part-time roles, sort of when I was a bit younger, really helped. I think when you're sort of 16, 17, 18 and dealing with customers and the public in part-time roles, you kind of pick that up. I think it's just something you have to learn through doing it, unfortunately. So there's no sort of easy way to do it. But
Yeah.
I think putting yourselves in those situations can kind of fast track that, if you like. For me,
Yeah.
anyway, that's what I found.
Stephen, you were going to say something.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Like every time you do it, you get better at it, more confidence builds. So it's definitely from experience. Remember the first time I presented in a boardroom in my first company, I was reading off notes. I was struggling to make eye contact, but by like the 6th, 7th, my confidence grew. I was like speaking more naturally, more fluently. So it's definitely you learn by experience, and the more you expose yourself to it, the more scary situation in terms of communication or presenting, you put yourself in it, and you will grow and get better at it. My point of view.
Anything to add, Ada or Sophie? Nope. Okay. No, I think it's useful feedback in terms of how you build up those skills, especially in the workplace and putting yourself in those situations. I'm just going to touch on, obviously, one of ACCA's key topics, which is the development of AI and how it affects everybody and how it affects the profession in particular. Now, our research, Raymond mentioned talent trends earlier, suggests that younger members tend to actually be most anxious about AI, and there's obvious reasons why that might be the case. So you probably have a greater understanding of how fast it's developing and what it might mean for roles, but also the opportunities. How do you feel it's going to affect your career? Ada?
I think for younger generations, I think we are more evolving, and this is because of technology, okay, and more curious and open-minded. And so it's kind of a positive energy for us, okay? And it's not going to be have a negative impact on our career, but a very positive impact because the world is changing and we're ready to change with it, okay? And as a professional, I believe that we should be at the top of our game at every time. Okay, we should be changing as technology is changing. So basically, I just feel that we're going to do absolutely well.
Thanks, Ada. A great positive outlook. Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I can see it sort of becoming quite influential in this sector that I'm in. Can be a lot of sort of report writing and looking at legislation and things. And I think using AI as a sort of supplementary tool to maybe fast track that is where it's going for us. Sort of instead of starting things from scratch, it's maybe getting AI to come up with a first draft and then tweaking it from there. But it's sort of developing at such a fast rate, it's quite hard to say what it's going to look like in maybe 5 to 10 years. So I think kind of just wait and see, I think.
Stephen.
Yeah, so I see AI, especially in our field, as more of a tool rather than like it's going to take our jobs and destroy the industry, as a lot of people do have that fear. It makes a lot of manual processes easier. Like I've seen it myself in my workplace, like stuff we had to do manually is now taken over by AI. So what that does is saves us time from the boring manual jobs and lets us focus on the more interesting stuff that AI can't do. So I think if anything, AI will redefine accountants more from taking us away from the mundane tasks and doing the more interesting stuff. So becoming more of like a finance business partner rather than poor number cruncher or someone that sits in Excel creating spreadsheets all day. I definitely see it as a good thing. Like I have an example of when my first job, like when we got audited, auditors would come in and do their discovery. It was very manual, asking us for files and documents. It took them time, it took us time, and increased the audit time, which increased the cost. Then by like year 3 at the same company, they had a software plugin which done everything directly, done all their materiality testing, took all the journals they needed straight from the system. So it sort of wiped out that phase of discovery that they'd have to do manually. It saved them time, it saved us time and hassle, and it reduced the overall cost of like the audit to us. So that's how I see AI. It's going to just redefine processes, make them more simpler, reduce the overall costs, and for us as a profession, I think redefine us more as sort of the business finance partner rather than just pure number cruncher.
A great example there, Stephen. Thank you. Sophie, might look slightly different in public sector at the moment.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure how it would affect my job, but in terms of like talking about using AI to like write draft reports, if reports are pushed to the public that have aspects of AI, I imagine it'll have to be disclosed. And I imagine there will be a high percentage of people who don't like the fact that we personally haven't done the work for it. But I also understand in terms of some reports where it's lots and lots of just accounting jargon that it's just, and if it's the same report you're writing yearly, it's the same stuff. As you get AI to condense it, that makes your job easier. But I don't know in terms of how it's going to affect SG beyond report enhancement.
Thank you. And a useful point there from Stuart, not so much losing jobs to AI, but you could lose your job to someone who's confident using AI if you don't keep up to speed, which echoes your point, Ada. Okay, we're starting to draw to a close now. So now I want you to look back at your younger self, maybe about to embark on your job and your training. What's one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self? Stephen.
Just keep going. Like in times of failure, don't let it get you down. Stay positive. Best piece of advice, probably it's worth it in the end. It definitely is. You throughout your qualification, throughout your studies, you will question, is all this time I'm putting in worth it in the end? It 100% is, and it has so many rewards at the end of it. Like I can speak from experience. Like all my latest job literally came to me through having this qualification and experience. So my best advice would be to keep going, don't give up. Yeah.
Brilliant. Ada.
Thank you. What I can say is I would have told myself that it will get easier. Because yes, past we didn't have AI like we did now. That has made everything much more easier for us. And so I would have encouraged myself and said, keep going. It will get easier. It will get better. the road will be smoother.
Thank you.
Don't give up.
Neil.
Yeah, I'd maybe tell myself that it's okay to not have everything planned out to a T. Sort of life's got a funny way of working things out. Just whatever I'm doing, put in 110% and let kind of things happen, and opportunities will come and doors will open. It's okay to maybe not have everything planned out to the nth degree for the next, 10 years or so. But as I say, put in a shift and put in 110% and things will happen.
So what's for you'll no go by you, as all our mums told us.
Yeah, exactly.
Sophie.
I would say don't be so hard on yourself with exam results, and I mean beyond just accountancy with ACCA. I mean past when I was 18 and getting school results, getting university degree results. I think, everyone progresses differently, and I think you need to understand that that's okay. That the person that gets a first at uni might always not do well in their job, and you getting your diploma is perfectly fine. You're still progressing at the rate that you need to progress at.
Thank you. No, wise words, Sophie, wise words. Okay, our last quickfire question for everybody before we wrap up this morning's event. So if you could have any accountancy job in the world, anyone's finance job for a week or a year, whose job or what job would it be? Neil?
Yeah, I'm a big football fan, so first thing I think of is some sort of football finance role, whether that's maybe working on player transfers or working on annual accounts for a big football club or something like that. I think that would be interesting. But particularly the player transfers, I think structuring those deals and thinking about that would be quite interesting. Although I imagine quite long hours when the transfer windows are open.
Yeah, interesting. Laura, we've got some case studies, don't we, of members who work in Premier League, and we do. I think we've got a member at a couple of clubs in the northeast, Neil. So maybe that one will come true.
Yeah.
Stephen, whose job would you have?
Probably one of the CFO roles at one of Elon Musk companies like SpaceX or the Boring Company. You really see how he spends his money and what his future plans are, and has he met aliens yet or something? Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Sophie?
And I don't do it just now. I don't give myself the joy of my favourite hobby, which is reading. But if I could have any job, I'd like to be like a finance person in like a book publishing company. I would probably really enjoy that. I'd probably spend more of my time reading a book at work. But yeah, I'd like to see that industry, see how it all works.
Yeah, amazing. And Ada?
Maybe a more global role, where I get to travel a lot and meet more people and learn more and make more finance decisions. And that's just it.
Perfect. Also, all very interesting, different types of career, which is a great way to round off the discussion about all the opportunities in accountancy. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It just remains for me to give a special thank you to our speakers for giving up your time this morning. I know everyone will have found that so useful. Really, really enjoyed hearing about your journeys, and I know that we'll share this with lots of people who are speaking to students and trainees. So your insight has been really, really valuable, and we really appreciate that. A special thank you to Laura for organising today and keeping us all in check, and to Raymond for joining us and giving us your welcome. And to all of you who've joined, whether you're watching this live this morning or whether you're watching this back later from a recording, we do appreciate the time that you give up to participate in our events. Just briefly, Laura's put a range of resources in the chat that will be useful for you. Our LinkedIn groups, if you want to share your LinkedIn profiles in this chat, that's a really good way to keep in touch. If you follow Laura and I on LinkedIn, it's a good way to keep in touch with ACC events. Earlier on in the chat is the Talent Trends 2026 survey link. If I could encourage everybody on this call to fill out that survey, please. It's a really useful report that ACCA publishes every year, and the higher the response rate in Scotland, the more we can share it with employers and decision makers. So it really helps our work. So do keep in touch with us all and follow us on LinkedIn, and we really look forward to seeing you all at another event soon. So enjoy St Andrew's Day when it comes, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you, everybody, and a special good luck to Sophie for next week.
Thank you very much, Susan.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for the facilitation.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.